Well, good afternoon and welcome all guests to the Board of Commissioners regular meeting, June 18. At this time, we'll ask the City Clerk, Beth Davis, to please call the roll.
Commissioner Sharon Neesmith. Here. Mayor Tom Watson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mark Kesslin.
Here.
Commissioner Bob Glenn.
Here.
And Commissioner Pam Smith-Wright is unavailable.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have the invocation and the pledge. Please stand if you're able and remove your own hats. Our Heavenly Father, we need an obedient heart as we put full armor on God. Your breastplate of righteousness guards our heart, from which flows the springs of life. We pray fervently for our communities and our country. The people who are in the church, the family, education, business and workplace, military, government, arts, entertainment, and media. Every person is your workmanship, fearfully and wonderfully created and loved. And may the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, let us keep our hearts and minds in the knowledge and the love of God and of His Son, Jesus Christ. And may the blessings of God Almighty, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be amongst us and remain with us always. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. First item on the agenda is a recognition of Eagle Scouts. Eli Currington, Blake Lochner, is that how you say it? Say it again? Locker, okay. And Andrew Tanner. We have a little something for you, if you please come forward. Somebody's got a video too? All right, you want to do the video first?
Hey guys, yeah. That'd probably make more sense. For everyone to understand why they're here, I think,
Well, I appreciate you telling me on the front end of it. No problem.
Sorry, Mayor. Amanda Rogers, Parks and Rec Director for the City of Owensboro. Thank you for the opportunity to recognize these three young men in our community today. Each of these young men is an Eagle Scout, and their troop leader, Chris Worth, is here. I thought it would be nice to recognize them for their efforts and the improvements and the additions that they created within our park system, and take this opportunity to educate the public about what they've added to our system. So I'm going to introduce Chris Worth. He'll come, he's their troop leader. He'll explain just a little bit about the Eagle Scout process, and then we've got a video that will show everyone what they've created for us. Thank you.
As I said, I'm Chris Worth. I'm the Scoutmaster for Troop 3611 here in Owensboro.
Welcome.
We're here to celebrate the achievements of these three fine scouts. The Eagle Scout is the pinnacle of the scouting career. They go through, when they first come in as tenderfoot, become a scout, second class, first class, life scout, and then the Eagle Scout is the pinnacle. Less than 4% of scouts ever achieve the rank of Eagle Scouts. It's quite an honor. It's also quite an accomplishment. As you'll see in the video, these three young men have to demonstrate leadership. They have to do fundraising. They were taught to lead and serve. To be productive members of the society. You'll see that they've done projects for the community to help serve the community, and they do this on their own. We provide guidance, but they come up with the ideas. They go through all the paperwork, get it approved, and I'm quite proud of these three young men, as you'll see in the video of the projects that they did.
I'm a Life Scout with Troop 611, and this is my Eagle Scout project. It's a U.S. flag retirement box for you to drop your used and torn up U.S. flags. I grew up in scouting my whole life, And I noticed a lot of disrespect towards the flag, people not properly disposing them or just throwing them away, which is not the proper way to do it. So I built this for people to drop their flags and let someone else take care of it, basically. There's one at the Parks Department in Owensboro, and then there's one at the American Legion on Frederica. It makes me feel happy. I mean, it's a lot of work put into it, and it's kind of surrealing seeing it here in person.
I built this Gaga Ball pit for my Eagle Scout project. I wanted to bring more opportunity to the Ben Halls area, as well as just creating more opportunities for kids to learn how Gaga Ball is played. It brought opportunities to the other scouts in my troop, and allowed me to have an opportunity to lead the other scouts in building this Gaga Ball pit. It required me to plan it out, to just document all the processes, and to actually bring it to life. I know I enjoy playing Gaga Ball, and I hope that I can bring this experience to other people and hopefully spark a new game with the Owensboro community.
Me and my dad always came out here and rode our bikes all the way from the soccer course to the tennis court, all the way around the Greenbelt. There's just not enough cover out here. You know, it gets pretty sunny in the summer. And great to have a cover somewhere. I just love the lake view. There's 2 lakes surrounding us. They're both pretty beautiful lakes, and I just love them. It was pretty tough. I've never built something this big before, and well, it was an experience for all of us. I had a few of my friends come out here, about 4 or 5 of us. We'd never built anything before. We decided to just tough it out, and we got it done. It feels good to see something that I made with my own 2 hands that I can just look back for hopefully 20 years and say, hey, I built that. I love it.
Mayor and Commissioners, we're really thankful for these young men and what they've done for our department and the relationship that we have here in the Parks and Rec Department with the Eagle Scouts and the local troops. So we're very thankful for their work and what they've brought to the Parks and Rec system, and appreciate you taking the time to recognize them, Mayor. Thank you.
How about a picture? Come on up here. Stand by me a second, and I'll read this. And it's the City of Owensboro, Mayor's Certificate of Appreciation presented to Eli Currington. Is that right? Don't stick your hand out yet. Sincerest gratitude for your outstanding contribution to Ben Halls Park, providing enjoyment for the citizens of Owensboro for years to come. Okay, Blake, how you say it? Sincerest gratitude for your outstanding contribution to Atkinson Greenbelt, providing enjoyment for the citizens of Owensboro for years to come, presented this 18th day of June, 2024. City of Owensboro, Mayor's Certificate of Appreciation presented to Andrew Tanner. Sincerest gratitude for years of outstanding contribution to Smothers Park, providing a place for proper flag disposal for the citizens of Owensboro, June 18, 2024. Thank you. All right, we have a microphone. You're welcome to speak. Communication nerd. You need a badge for communication? Unfortunately, I've already got it. You already got it? Yeah, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a Stormwater Department update. The one and only Sierra Simon.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Sierra Simon, and I work for the Engineering Department at Public Works, 1410 West 5th Street. I'm here today to give you an update on the Stormwater Quality Program. First, let's begin with the purpose of the Stormwater Quality Program. The purpose of the program is to reduce the discharge of pollutants and stormwater runoff that is conveyed downstream to receiving ditches, streams, rivers, and other water bodies. To develop a public outreach program that educates the public on stormwater pollution and prevention, and to develop a public involvement program that allows for the public to participate and give us input. We also maintain compliance with the Kentucky Division of Water. The Stormwater Program provides environmental education and resources that empowers school-age students with the knowledge and tools to help protect our waterways for future generations. The Stormwater Program provides education for preschool through 12th grade programming. The programming provides hands-on experiments that motivate students to make a change within their community. Within our preschool programming, preschoolers discover what stormwater pollution is and become super recyclers. The super recyclers then fish out pollution from our river box. On this slide, you can see that students are interacting with the watershed model to see how stormwater runoff carries pollutants to downstream waterways. The students then come up with ways that they can prevent stormwater pollution at home and in their neighborhoods. The Stormwater Quality Program donated books about stormwater pollution to the free little libraries located around the city. The libraries are posted at Smothers Park, Legion Park, and neighborhoods around the community. Public involvement. The public can provide valuable input assistance to the Stormwater Management Program. The public is invited to attend Stormwater Quality Advisory Committee meetings that take place quarterly at Davis County Operations. Events are organized so that the community can play an active role in both the development and implementation of the program. City staff leads volunteers in events around the community, like our rain barrel workshops. Rain barrels can help prevent stormwater pollution by capturing and storing rainwater, reducing the amount of water that flows into the storm drains. Most recently, city staff built a rain barrel with the students at Highland Elementary School and the 4-H Club. And those students are going to use the rain barrel to feed water to the outdoor classroom. The city also partners with Regional Water Resource Agency, the UK Extension Office, and Davis County Operations to host an annual rain barrel workshop. Participants learn about local water quality issues and then construct a rain barrel to take home in use. The city and Davis County Fiscal Court also partner together annually to host a park cleanup. Participants volunteer to collect trash throughout Yellow Creek Park. This prevents trash from getting into the water streams. The Stormwater Program utilizes partnerships with other entities to fulfill public education and public requirements. Some of these partnerships include Davis County Operations, Regional Water Resource Agency, the UK Davis County Extension Office, Girls Inc., Davis County Public Schools, Owensboro Public Schools, the Davis County Public Library, and the Western Kentucky Botanical Garden. The Stormwater Quality Program is working alongside teachers, students, and the community to bring awareness to stormwater pollution and water quality in our community. With the help of the community, small changes can make a big impact. And that concludes our presentation.
Thank you. Any questions?
I just got one. Sierra, this may be outside the purvey of what you're aware of, and Kevin may need to answer this, but I know RWRA several years ago came to us, asked for a huge rate increase to meet EPA stormwater mandates. To your knowledge, are we making pretty good progress on that? And I apologize for asking that question.
No, it's okay.
Not your bailiwick.
I can ask Kevin to help with that.
But we had a substantial RWRA rate
Yes.
increase that the county and city approved because of an EPA lawsuit, basically. Yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, so just to kind of explain the structure, RWA has a separate permit with Division Water EPA for sanitary sewer, the wastewater. We have a permit with strictly stormwater. So the consent decree with RWA was based on sanitary sewer discharges into the overflows into the stormwater system. So that's separate from our permit. Stormwater is in our jurisdiction. Sanitary sewer is in RWA's. Yeah, and then drinking water is in OMU's. So.
Well, I love the programs that you have in the schools. That's awesome. That sounds great. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you. Next item on the agenda, Mr. Tim Ross, Public Events Director.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. Just wanted to give an update about some of the events that are coming up this summer. I know most of you have been around the last few weeks when it's been really, really busy downtown with the Jeeps event and Friday After 5 and so many things that are taking place. And there's several coming up over the next few weeks as well. So we just wanted to highlight those to give you an update about that. The first one's the Great Race coming up. There's been a lot of things in the media about that. They were here a few years ago with their overnight stay, and we had a couple thousand folks that were down along the river just for that overnight stop. They enjoyed what they had here in Owensboro. They loved the hospitality, so they decided to start the race for their 2024 race here in Owensboro. And so that's going to start on Saturday, and they will head up towards Maine. So for those that aren't familiar with it, classic vintage cars of all kinds of shapes and sizes, whether you're a car enthusiast or not, you'll certainly enjoy the Great Race activities that are down there. We've got this year one of our locals, Brian Smith, is participating in the race. A lot of people around the community know him, so we got a little local tie to the race this year. But it was a great event that was down there, like I said before. I know several of you were there as they line up along Veterans Boulevard. So the activities this time, we've got Thursday night. We've got an event called the Bluegrass Block Party that will be there at the Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And there'll be live music on the Bluegrass stage by a great bluegrass band, some food trucks, and then the race organizers are going to have a dozen, 20 cars or so that'll be on display, kind of a little teaser with some of those that'll be racing on Saturday. And then Saturday is the start of the race itself. So this coming Saturday, cars will start lining up probably a little bit before 9 a.m., but we invite the public to come out anytime between 9 all the way to 1. Again, food trucks down the side streets there along Veterans Boulevard. All the cars will be lined up on Veterans. The start line is actually at the Hampton Inn, right behind the Hampton, and they line up all the way down toward River Park Center. They'll be facing the convention center because the race starts that direction. So you can walk up and down Veterans, talk to some of the drivers, and kind of pick their brains a little bit to get the insights about what this race is all about, while enjoying some live music and some food trucks. So it's a great event. We expect a huge crowd to be down there. It's going to be warm, but it'll still be a good morning. And then that night, we've got an event as part of our Live on the Bank series called Downtown Summer Jam. 77 Experience, a great late 70s band that'll be out there with another opening act for them at 7 o'clock in Smothers Park. So we had a good crowd for similar group last year, and Saturday night will be pretty busy down there. And then just right around the corner, we've got our All-American 4th of July. It's hard to think that we're almost through middle of summer's right around the corner, but All-American 4th is on Thursday. We always traditionally do our fireworks here with the city on the 4th, and so live music starts there down along the riverfront at 5 p.m. Same kind of activities that we've had with a big party down there. The downtown band always puts on a good show, and we've got food trucks. All the downtown merchants are open, and then fireworks are at 9:15. Thank you to Meyer for being a part of those activities there. And then we've got Convention Center also does the Downtown Summer Jam, the Fourth Fest that they do inside the Convention Center. That's got live activities for all the kiddos with inflatable games and that type of thing. And we started back during COVID shooting fireworks in multiple locations around the community, and we're still going to continue that again this year. And so we've got locations there at Moreland Park, as well as Southern Little League, and then over at the old GE plant or the Owensboro warehouse location, in addition to what we're doing along the river. So 4 locations that night will be shooting off fireworks at 9:15 on Thursday the 4th. And like I said, Fourth Fest inside the Convention Center. If you want to purchase some seats to watch the fireworks there on the river, they've got a lot of opportunities to get some food and drinks and then enjoy the activities inside the air conditioning inside that building. So that's 4th of July right around the corner, just a couple weeks away. So that's a lot of things happening over the next couple weeks, but just wanted to give everybody a quick update on those, and happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? I guess you're pretty good. No questions. Okay, move on to 4B. City Attorney Mark Pfeiffer, medical cannabis.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
In Kentucky, this is called medicinal cannabis. You probably know it by the term medical marijuana, which is what it's called everywhere else, it seems to be. In 2023, our legislature enacted Senate Bill 47, which allowed the use of medical marijuana effective January 1 of 2025. Then during its session this year, it passed House Bill 829, which amended the medical marijuana statutes to allow licenses to be issued to businesses this year rather than in 2025. But January 1 of 2025 is still the date when dispensaries can open to the public. The Cabinet for Health and Family Services issues licenses to 5 types of cannabis businesses. First are cultivators who obviously grow the marijuana. There are processors who then convert the plant material into a consumable marijuana product. Producers are a kind of combined cultivator and processor, and they are not authorized in the initial period of license applications. The 4th business type is a safety compliance facility that basically would test certain batches to make sure that it's complying with all the regulations. And then there are dispensaries, which of course sell the marijuana to consumers. For the first round of license applications, there will be only 4 licenses for dispensaries in our region, which is called the Green River region. And as you can see from the map, it consists of Union, Webster, Henderson, McLean, Davis, Ohio, and Hancock counties. So a total of 4 dispensaries in those 7 counties, and each county can only have 1 dispensary in the initial round of applications that they're going through right now. All the other kinds of businesses are not subject to these regional restrictions. One thing to note about the state statute is that a cannabis business cannot be located closer than 1,000 feet to any elementary or secondary school or daycare center. So that's the standard that the state statute has. To use medical marijuana, you have to obtain a registry identification card, which requires you to be Kentucky resident and to not have a disqualifying felony. And then also you have to have written certification from a medical practitioner that you have what's called a qualifying medical condition. Okay, the qualifying medical conditions are listed under the statute as cancer, chronic, severe, intractable, or debilitating pain, epilepsy, MS, chronic nausea or something called cyclical vomiting syndrome, if it's resistant to other treatment, PTSD, and then there's a catch-all, which basically means if your medical practitioner certifies that you have a need from another condition or that you would benefit from medicinal cannabis for that other condition, then you can also get a registry identification card. These are just some basic facts on medicinal marijuana. It cannot be smoked. So if you see somebody smoking medical marijuana, that's illegal still. It cannot be consumed by vaping while on public transportation or in a public place. And public place, if you look at the definition, is extremely broad, so it would include a park or a school, and even common areas of apartment complexes. So basically, you can vape in your private residence and nowhere else. DUI laws still apply to individuals using medical marijuana. And then what you don't see here that is a big one is employers are not required to allow or accommodate medicinal marijuana use in the workplace. One brief note is that regulations outline how much medicinal cannabis can be consumed per day, and so there are very strict requirements on THC content and then the total quantity used. When considering what to do with medicinal cannabis in Owensboro, the city has several options. One option is to do nothing. If the city doesn't do anything, doesn't pass any ordinance, then medical marijuana would be allowed in Owensboro under the state standards. If the county, though, were to pass an ordinance prohibiting medical marijuana, then the city, if it wanted to allow medical marijuana, would have to pass an ordinance to override what the county had done. The next option is to prohibit, and if the commission is not in favor of wanting medical marijuana businesses to locate in Owensboro, it has to pass an ordinance to do that. The citizens can still petition and vote to allow medical marijuana even if the commission were to vote or to enact an ordinance to prohibit it. There's a feature in the statute that allows a resolution to be passed by voters. The third option is to pass restrictions. And so the statute allows you to pass additional restrictions on cannabis businesses locating in Owensboro. You cannot make it less restrictive than what the state has done. So the state has a minimum of 1,000 feet. You all couldn't vote that a cannabis business could be located within 500 feet of a school or a daycare. So it has to be at least 1,000 feet. It has to be at least as restrictive as what the state has passed in their standards. And you all are allowed to assess fees. They have to compensate for any additional costs caused by the operation of cannabis businesses. And then there's a final requirement that the restrictions not be so burdensome that it would make business operations impractical. And then a resolution, one thing you can do is basically pass this on to the voters directly and just enact a resolution that says we want the citizens of Owensboro to vote. In that event, in order for there to be a question placed on the ballot at the next general election, at least 10% of registered voters in the city have to agree to do that. Here's the timeline. On July 1 of 2024, here in a couple weeks, the cabinet can begin issuing licenses, although it looks like that won't happen until there's about a 2-month period of time that they're accepting applications. August 13 is the deadline for the county clerk to receive a resolution from you all if you wanted to pass that matter to voters. In October, if there are more applications, and there probably would be, than the number of available licenses, then the cabinet conducts a lottery to determine who is kind of the successful applicant. The big date that you all need to be aware of is December 31 of 2024. That is your deadline to pass an ordinance either prohibiting or restricting medicinal cannabis. So if you all pass an ordinance prior to December 31, 2024, then a business that receives a license would not be allowed to operate, even though they had already received the license prior to the date that you all had passed an ordinance. And that's if you do it on or before December 31, 2024. If you do it after that date, then existing businesses are basically grandfathered in, but then any new businesses would be prohibited from operating. So I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Commissioner Castleton?
Okay, you said that there's going to be 4 dispensaries or 4 licenses?
Well, there will be 4 licenses, up to 4 licenses for dispensaries in that region.
Does the license grant 1 dispensary, or
It
can
does.
they have multiples?
No, it's for 1 location and 1 license.
Okay,
Yeah,
so they
one location.
they couldn't get one license and then have one in Davis County and McLean County at the same.
Could the same company? Yeah, I think the same company could have 2.
Okay, so they could have multiple dispensaries, just not in the same county.
That's correct.
Okay.
In that scenario, Mark, would that require them to have multiple licenses?
Yes, they would have to get individual license. You don't get a license for more than 1 location.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So you'd have to apply separately for
Okay.
each.
That's what I meant.
Anything else you want to add? Sorry.
Not to that.
Commissioner Neesmith?
I was listening, but I'm definitely going to need this on paper to look at. I know
Sure.
we'll get that, but the question, how does that, does the county have these same requirements, or is this where, so let's just say that Owensboro said yes and Davis County said yes, then is there still only going to be 4 licenses, period?
Yeah,
Or
there's a
would it be
total of
4?
1 for the county, whether it's in the city or the county initially.
Okay.
Okay, now they will quarterly review the need for additional locations, and then they'll accept applications, I'm pretty certain, in 2025 for the next round.
Which is, I know this is early on, but just curious how that would all be coordinated and stuff, but that'll be something we'll worry about once we decide what you want to do.
Well, in the Planning and Zoning Commission, you all, if you wanted to restrict in a certain way, you'd probably there would need to be some consultation there about what an ordinance would look like.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Glenn?
Yes, so do we have any action by other cities or counties we can look at to see what the trends are statewide?
There are 2 ordinances that I'm aware of, one in Bowling Green, which basically prohibits dispensaries from being located in certain areas of their city, some overlay districts. And I think they added college to the definition of school so that you couldn't locate a dispensary within 1,000 feet of Western. And then they also have a requirement that each cannabis business be located at least 1 mile from the other ones, which effectively will ultimately limit the number of total cannabis businesses that they could have. Henderson has, they're voting, I think, at their next meeting. And they have some similar things, and then one thing they've got in their ordinance is some signage restrictions, I guess, to make make sure the cannabis business might fit in a little bit with their existing businesses. The other thing Bowling Green had, by the way, is they're only allowing cannabis businesses in what they call their highway business zone. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but so they're being fairly restrictive on where they can be located.
And my other question is, the state, I assume the state has some built-in fee that for each purchase, they're gonna get tax revenue.
There are fees on all of these businesses on the initial application and on the renewals. thousands of dollars usually.
And have we calculated, I noted that one of the options is to put in our own restrictions, and that includes fees. I would presume if the DUI laws apply, that our law enforcement agency, OPD, is going to have more work to do if we were to approve this. So it would make sense for us to have fees to build in to compensate. Does that seem reasonable?
It does, and I'll have to look. I think the regulations may contain some formula for how you kind of determine what your additional costs are. So I'm not sure that's very easily quantified. But anyway, it's something we'll have to look at.
Mayor, I know we've got the DUI as part of the protection in there, and this may go to the chief. Is there even any kind of test to determine if someone is impaired by cannabis when they drive, like a saliva test or anything like that? I know breathalyzer certainly wouldn't cover that, I wouldn't think.
Commissioner, to answer your question, DUIs, we use standardized field sobriety tests, which include officer observation, but we could request a blood draw, urine test, things like that to determine how much THC is actually in the system.
So is there, what exactly, put it this way, is there a legal limit, like with alcohol, on how much THC is allowed in a system? Because my understanding is if you smoked a joint 2 or 3 days ago or took a gummy or whatever, it would still be in your bloodstream, show in your bloodstream, but you may not actually be impaired.
Yeah, it can stay in your system for up to 90 days. It just depends on what type of user you are. And for the record, I would do none of the above.
Yes.
But there's no actual test, and this discussion is going on now with drug recognition experts, and just to determine how many nanograms are actually in the system that would make you impaired. So we don't have a per se law on how much that is yet.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's what I was wondering about. Thank you, Chief.
So, Chief, we could lean on you for advisement on how we do this ordinance then?
I think we just have to look around Kentucky to see what other cities are doing.
I know our city manager will probably do that as well, but I just want, from a legal standpoint, your input would be greatly appreciated.
Yes, and we've had some meetings, and I'm happy to attend those meetings and give my opinion.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Well, in my other world, I've seen medical marijuana do some wonderful things with PTSD and soldiers and people in bad accidents and children with cerebral palsy. But this isn't your father's marijuana. This stuff's powerful compared to that stuff that was in the 60s. So it's going to be an interesting conundrum we're going to find ourselves in, but I have no real problem with trying to make sure that we move forward with it. Okay. All right.
Can I ask one more question? So what is our time? I know our time frame is December based on what our counselor said. What is our time frame as a commissioner? Do we have one, Mr. City Manager?
That's a good question. Really, the intent today was really to introduce the concept, and we'll move at whatever pace you'd like. So I think the first step would be, what information would you like? What information should we bring back to you, whether that's what other communities are doing in their ordinances or not? But the first question you have to answer is, do you want to allow it here or not? Again, you don't have to answer that today, and you can make that decision at whatever pace you want, because I think, as the city attorney alluded to, you've got essentially 6.5 months before you'd have to make a final decision. Now, really, we would need to know a little bit in advance of that to draft all the documents. So, but there's still a 3 to 4 month window that you would have easily to make that decision. So we wanted to leave you enough time for whatever information you'd like to consider, and we'll provide that to you. But first would be deciding, do we want to allow this in our community or not, or in the city or not? And then once you make that decision, if it's yes, then do we want to have any of those higher level of regulation? So if the state requirement is no more than 1,000 feet from a church or school, you may wish to make that 2,500 feet or whatever, or do like Bowling Green, only 1 per square mile or 2 per square mile. It may not be relevant now necessarily if the state's going to limit that, but over time, I think everyone anticipates those numbers of dispensaries will grow. And so trying to best position ourselves for the future is what we would like to do, because once we put that ordinance in place, then anyone who has anyone who has a license subject to that ordinance would be grandfathered into those provisions. So even if we come back and change it in the future, then those initial dispensaries would be sort of grandfathered in the original regulations. So we want to make sure we're very intentional and strategic about how we do that. So hopefully I answered your question, but we'll go at your pace. But then first consideration would be more yay or nay, do we want this here or not?
Okay. Thank you, and thank you, Mayor.
So, Council, you said something about the county in this deal? So,
yes.
Since the city's in the county, how does that work?
Well, the county could pass an ordinance prohibiting it.
So would that include the city?
That would include the city.
Sure. Okay.
In that event, if you wanted to allow it, then you'd have to pass an ordinance.
Okay.
To allow it.
That's what I wanted to get out there publicly, because since the city is in the county, we're kind of at their disposal sometimes. Any more comments on smoking dope?
Not smoking, right?
Oh.
Commissioner, or Mr. City Attorney, right? Smoking is not allowed, but
Smoking is not allowed.
Just what is? Medicinal purposes, yeah.
Edibles.
Edible.
Things like that.
Oh, me.
Whatever they are.
That's gonna be a tough deal to enforce. Okay. Next item on the agenda, city project list. City Manager Nate Pagan.
Thank you, Mayor. I know you've had that available for your review and have a hard copy as well in front of you. Nothing that I'll emphasize this week, so just happy to answer any questions should you have any.
I was just kind of curious. It's going to take 3 years to do the fire training center?
Well, I think that's really from the time of initial conceptualization of the project to go through design and construction before it's operational. So yeah, that's not unusual to be 2 to 3 years by the time we get something approved, funded, designed, and then constructed. That's not just a construction piece, that's really beginning to end. I think that's scheduled to be done this fall. So if you think back, really, we started that conversation 2+ years ago.
2021, it says on this thing.
Wow.
So I just was curious. That's the only question I had. But Leland Sports Complex thing on track?
Yes, sir, Mayor. We've had quite a bit of interest in that project. We've probably had close to 100 different contractors download portions of the documents, each one to their own classification. But we extended the bid due to a number of questions we received. When you've got a project of that size, there's a lot of different variables, from plumbing, electrical issues, things like that. And that should open up July the 9th.
Okie dokie. Thank you. All right. No other comments. We'll move to 5A. Consider approval of minutes dated June 4, 2024. I'll make a motion to approve these minutes. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? Deletions or additions? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Consider these board appointments. Northwest Neighborhood Alliance, appoint Kathleen Calhoun to a 2-year term effective June 18, 2024. Could I have a motion to approve Ms. Calhoun, please?
Motion.
Could I have a second? Second. Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 6, municipal orders. Ms. Davis. I think, is that right?
Yes. Municipal Order 15-2024, a municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an application for law enforcement protection program grant funding through the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security in the amount of $50,093.90, the proceeds of which will be utilized by the City of Owensboro Police Department to purchase rounds of ammunition for patrol rifles and patrol pistols, no match required from the city. Read for approval on one reading this 18th day of June 2024.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve this. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City Manager, have any comments?
Got nothing to add, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll have roll call. Huh? Oh, I thought it said roll call on here. We're going to have a regular vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Yes.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6B, please.
Municipal Order 16-2024, a municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an application for law enforcement protection program grant funding through the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security in the amount of $9,988.43, the proceeds of which will be utilized by the City of Owensboro Police Department to purchase 88 new ballistic plate carriers. No match required from the city. Read for approval on one reading this 18th day of June 2024.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Okay, city manager comments?
Just to reiterate what the city clerk said, this would purchase 88 ballistic plate carriers to replace those that have been worn out due to use and wear and tear.
Okay. Okay, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item 6C, please.
Municipal Order 17-2024, a municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an application for the fiscal year 2024 Paul Coverdale Forensic Science Improvement Grants Program through the Bureau of Justice Assistance in the amount of $5,488.37, the proceeds of which will be utilized by the City of Owensboro Police Department to purchase an ultra-light alternate light source. No match required from the city. Read for approval on one reading this 18th day of June 2024.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City manager?
And this is a third municipal order for a grant application for OPD. This application requests funding for an ultralight alternate light source for the latent print lab, which is part of the evidence collection unit.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6D, please, Ms. Davis.
Municipal Order 18-2024, a municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute a memorandum of agreement with Davis County, setting forth the terms by which the City of Owensboro and Davis County will operate the Consolidated 911 Emergency Operations Center and the allocation of resources to fund its operational cost. Read for approval on one reading this 18th day of June 2024.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve this. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any further discussion?
I just have one very quick comment. Thank you to our staff for getting this done, for this promoting the safety of our community. Thank you so much.
Mayor, I do have some comments for this one. If you
Seriously?
I do.
Okay.
It's a more high profile item. So the city and the county partnered to provide joint emergency 911 dispatch in 2009. However, in December of 2023, the county provided notice of their intent to terminate the agreement for that partnership, which we generally refer to as central dispatch. While the county considered whether or not to separate and provide their own dispatch center, the city always maintained that continuing to jointly fund a single dispatch center was the best option for public safety in our community. Recently, Judge Executive Casson informed me that the county will continue to participate in central dispatch and not provide a second redundant dispatch center in our community. As a result, this municipal order approves a new 3-year agreement, a renewable 3-year agreement for central dispatch in essentially the same manner that we have been structured essentially since 2009. Minor updates in the agreement for your consideration include the following. The expiring or old agreement called for the police chief and the sheriff to jointly manage or oversee the dispatch director and to recommend a new director when the position is vacant. Now, however, in the new agreement, only the police chief will handle these key responsibilities. What's now an oversight committee of key user groups, such as the fire departments from the city and the county, among others, has been functioning as an oversight committee, but now will be only in an advisory role. And the judge, executive, and city manager will receive updates and minutes of those advisory committee meetings. Costs will continue to be shared based on call volume, respectively, of the city and the county. In the past, the percentage was updated every 3 years, but now we'll update it every year using a rolling 3-year average. So essentially the same, just with a minor tweak. And then finally, language about the dispatch center budget has been updated to reflect the process that former Judge Executive Al Mattingly and I devised a couple of years ago that worked well for both organizations. So we really just recorded what we've been doing because it works well. So the city's happy to continue administering 911 dispatch for our community. in partnership with the county, as we believe it is definitely in the best interest of public safety for the community.
Any other discussion? And so will you update us with reports of your meetings?
Yes, well, we just get the minutes of that advisory board, but I'm happy to share those as well.
That'd be nice to have. Okay, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 6E.
Municipal Order 19-2024, a municipal order declaring the property located at 1535 Her Avenue as surplus property and authorizing the mayor to execute a real estate purchase agreement and deed conveying the property. Read for approval on one reading this 18th day of June 2024.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
City manager?
The Home First Time Home Buyer Program provides funding for newly constructed homes. This program aims to make home ownership more accessible by offering forgivable loans subject to certain income and property requirements. It is designed to support low to moderate income individuals and families in achieving their goal of owning a home by selling the homes at a subsidized cost. We get federal funding for these programs. This home at 1535 Her Avenue is a city-owned, now surplus property that houses a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house constructed by Paul Martin. The home buyer has already been selected and qualified by the Community Development Department, and this would allow us to transfer the property to that person.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor indicate by saying aye, please.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries, thank you. City manager, items.
First, Mayor, if you would acknowledge Angela Waninger to present the May financial report.
I acknowledge you.
Thank you, Mayor. So my PowerPoint presentation will be on the general fund and the activity for the month of, as well as the 11 months ended May 31st, 2024. Excuse me. For those that have the financials, you can refer to page 3 of the financial packet for more detail. So for slide 1, in the month of May, actual revenues of $4,458,269 were less than budgeted revenues of $5,235,297, resulting in a variance of $777,028. This variance is primarily due to lower occupational withholding and insurance licenses, which is partially offset by higher interest income. Our next slide is for the 11 months ended May revenues. Year-to-date revenues were $70,004,998, which was higher than budgeted revenues of $66,258,653, for a variance of $3,746,345. This variance is primarily due to higher net profits, higher interest income, and higher insurance license fees, partially offset by our lower occupational withholding. For the month of May, actual expenditures of $4,689,495 were less than budgeted expenditures of $12,215,641, for a variance of $7,526,146. This variance is primarily due to transfers in capital and partially due to savings in personnel services. And I will add that's quite a large variance, and that's partially due to the transfer to the senior center and the monies we set aside for land. We just haven't done the journals for the actual side. So those variances will take care of themselves next month. For the 11 months ended May, our actual expenditures of $63,025,292 were less than budgeted expenditures of $77,099,091, for a variance of $14,073,799. Again, this variance is primarily due to timing in transfers, capital, maintenance, and savings in personnel services due to vacancies. That variance is up to $2.2 million, but Josh in personnel and Chief Elam were doing quite well in getting the police as well as some of our firefighters, so hopefully that will start seeing some of that money being spent in the future. So for our next slide, shows the city's monthly revenues and expenses and how cyclical they can be. The nature, which is the nature of finances at the city. Expenses, as depicted by red, typically outpace revenues in the warmer months when outdoor activities are in full swing. Likewise, we have months where revenues, as depicted by the green bar, outpace expenditures, such as in the months of October and November due to collection of property taxes, and the month of April due to collection of net profits. And you can see how crazy those lines can get as we go through the year, but that's just to show, like I said, the nature of finances here at the city. So if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions? Okay. I guess we'll make a motion to file a report for audit. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Welcome.
Consider these personnel appointments. City Manager, is that you?
Yes, tonight we have 4 personnel appointments for your consideration. Brandon Bernard, probationary full-time non-civil service appointment to road worker with the street department effective July 1. Miranda Zunin, probationary full-time non-civil service appointment to telecommunicator with the police department and central dispatch effective July 1, contingent upon successful completion of all post-offer pre-employment requirements. And then promotional status, Susan Crago, probationary full-time non-civil service promotional appointment to clerk typist with personnel effective July 1, and Don Lang, probationary full-time non-civil service promotional appointment to citation officer with the police department effective July 1. Those last 2, Mayor, that are promotional, if you remember, we added several positions that were part-time that transitioned to full-time. And so in the budget for next year, and so those 2 are 2 positions that are currently working part-time and transitioning to full-time. So we're glad to get more effective work out of those 2 individuals. Shouldn't say effective work, more additional volume of work. I didn't say that exactly right. More volume of work. More volume of work from them.
I wouldn't touch that line with a 10-foot pole. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve these personnel appointments. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. City Manager, have any extra comments?
No other comments tonight.
Okay. Communication from elected officials. I'd like to go first tonight and congratulate Jeremy Stevens on the Habitat groundbreaking. Several of our commissioners were also there. Pretty exciting to see those families having an opportunity to have a home. It was pretty neat, and it was a little toasty out there, but Jeremy's doing a great job with Habitat, so kudos to him. Commissioner Neesmith.
I'd like to start out by recognizing 2 citizens that were extremely interested in making English Park a place where people would want to go and visit and take their families. And when I was first appointed in May, they approached me, and in July of 2023, I was asked by these 2 citizens to help them figure out what could be done and how they could do it, and who would do it, and who would pay for it, and all of those good questions that when you want to start a project and you don't know where to begin. What I really want to point out is both of these citizens were very interested. They would like to, one of the first projects was to have, to take advantage of the seating arena there, and to have movies by the river and have them be meet different age level, proprietary movies, that type thing. So this was a vision. Patty Mosby, and Sheila Ridner were the 2. They were, Abby was kind enough to meet with me because I obviously didn't know what I was doing, did I? So we were getting started to do that, and she suggested that the Northwest, that they join the Alliance group there for their area. So to shorten this a little bit, what you see up here is an event that's happening this, let's see, I'm reading the rain date, Saturday, June 29th It's a movie, starts at dusk, English Park. Bring your lawn chairs, blankets, and picnic baskets. I do know that there'll be hot dogs because I'm supposed to help serve those. And I just want to point out that this is a year in the making. It's a big step just to be able to get something done. It's not a big deal. You're probably thinking, what, a 2-hour movie? But to get started is amazing, and to have 2 of our citizens interested, and including all of their friends and family who got volunteered to help. And then if you'll notice on our projects, the revitalization of the Northwest area is also something that's on our budget for this upcoming years. And I have to think that part of that is because of the attention of people wanting to get things done. So with all of that said, start out and ask questions, and let's see what we can do. I will tell you, being new then, I was like, let me see how I can make this work. But our city departments were very helpful. Abby was helpful in getting us to the right place. The Northwest Alliance Committee was great in looking at it. So if you just go and see what happens, and hopefully that will continue, so that when people do come to visit Owensboro on the steamships, or if they come in, that they'll have an area where they feel comfortable and would like to be. So I just want to give a shout out, because that's what it takes. It takes people who care and who are willing to get in and make hot dogs and sweep off the patio if they have to make those movies happen. So I just want to give a thank you to both Patty and Sheila for that, and Abby.
Who's next?
I'll go next. Thank you, Mayor. I have to agree with you, Mayor. The Cargill Corner, Habitat for Humanity, working together is a beautiful thing. There was a great crowd there, and I must say Cargill put on a first-class act. They had beautiful signage there, and a great box lunch from Moonlight. But also this evening I met with the CVB, and we were covering current events going on here in the community. And the people of Davis County should really be appreciative of our CVB. They bring in so much entertainment, so many different quality of life shows, baseball games, car shows, you name it. They cover something for everybody and help provide a lot of jobs for a lot of the community, and they bring in a lot of revenue for the local community. That being said, the hotels have reached an all-time record in the number of rooms that have been rented out. And we've noticed that the Airbnbs have also been renting more rooms than usual. And it's all because of what the CVB does. And the Airbnbs need to realize that they are obligated to pay the hotel tax just like our local hotels do. This is not just something for large name hotels. If you're an Airbnb owner, you are obligated to pay that tax, and Airbnb does not pay that for you. So you need to go ahead and be aware that the city will be reaching out to you in the future to collect this monies from you, and you're not forgotten, Airbnbs, but you are actually getting part of the revenue from the CVB. Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner Glenn.
Yes, wanted to recognize the Owensboro Lions Club. They had a very successful soapbox derby this past Saturday, which brought in some visitors from across the area, including people as far away, racers as far away as New York. and had a lot of good comments about the quality of the track, which is a reflection on our Parks and Rec department. It's just a wonderful facility, and we're lucky to have it. Wanted to mention OMU. We had an electrical outage in my neighborhood and another one last night, and they were right on top of it, took care of it in 2 hours, and did their usual excellent job. Attended the Pritchard Committee's Groundswell Summit. Very interesting conversations about what you can do to heal broken families to produce better educational outcomes. They had a speaker from Johns Hopkins, and he was very interesting. Wanted to also mention the Kentucky Urban Arts Initiative. I attended that along with Commissioner Smithwright, and they had a really good discussion about the state of basically, since it's Pride Month, the treatment of the LGBTQ community, not just in Owensboro, but throughout Kentucky. And I thought it was an excellent panel. Chad Benningfield was the MC for that. And then finally, the homeless issue, which is sort of hit home. So I encountered a young lady who had camped. And as you know, as of June 1st in the state of Kentucky, it's illegal to camp, House Bill 5, et cetera. So I went over and talked to her, and I tried to give her some alternatives in terms of homeless shelters she and her husband could go to. Then she disappeared. And then she reappeared in my neighborhood and was there for 3 days. Our neighbors were not happy. The police came several times. Finally, they arrested her, and her belongings were sitting there, and we asked the city if they would collect them, because otherwise people were just randomly trashing them or taking them. So my concern is with House Bill 5 is OPD has enough to do. You guys are overburdened. I know you are, Chief. I would like to hear at some future date what impact this new law is having on you and your officers, because it's got to be a nightmare. And you never know what you're going to step into when you're dealing with the homeless. You know, there's drug addiction, there's mental illness, there's violent behavior. So that was my concern. But, you know, I do think that that bill is going to create a lot of problems. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. One thing I forgot, thank goodness Barbara's in the audience to tell me. The Owensboro Symphony made history. This week, the organization and Troy Quinn, music director, have been nominated for 2 regional Emmys. I know that y'all received the email, but I have to elaborate a little bit on the story. March 23rd, the debut of Owensboro Symphony Presents Night at the Oscars aired on KET. Since that time, the program has broadcast nationally and will continue to do so for the next year. To be nominated for 2 regional academies is an overwhelming honor. The number of people across the Commonwealth and the country that this program is reaching is astronomical. The Owensboro Symphony is one of 6 orchestras in the Commonwealth of Kentucky that we are not, and we are not the largest. But even though we are small, we are mighty, like the mighty Quinn. Tony Quinn is completing the 7th year of as our musical director and conductor of the Owensboro Symphony. As his programs have succeeded in bringing in much younger audiences, as well as engaging many more people in our region. Everyone on our team works diligently every day to fulfill our mission to stay present in our community. And the reach of this nationally recognized program has helped us exponentially to continue our mission. The support of the Owensboro Symphony receives from our state and local is the reason that we continue to make a difference. I want to take time opportunity to thank all and ask y'all to remember to continue to support us. And this came from Gwen Payne. So I apologize for not bringing it forward, but that's a pretty big deal. And there's a Tanner kid too invited. What was his name, Josh? No, it's his brother, I think. Yeah, one of the Tanners out there, you know, is involved in that Emmy too, so it's pretty exciting. So thank you for allowing me to step back in as memory loss. This is, now we'll go to open, everybody spoke. Oh yeah, we're missing one, I'm out of sync. Members of the audience may address the Board of Commissioners on any matter of public concern that was not on the agenda. Comments are limited to issues within the scope and responsibility of the Commission. Commission meetings are held, conduct city business for the benefit of Owensboro citizens and taxpayers. The meetings are not intended to serve as public forums for candidates who are campaigning for public political office. Political candidates will not be allowed to use the commission meetings to promote his or her candidacy for public office. This time, anyone who wishes to address the commission, please make their way to the podium to be recognized. Speakers must state their name and address for the clerk's record and limit their remarks to 3 minutes or less. Okay, open public forum.
Hello.
Hello.
My name's Daniel Sosh. I live a lifelong resident of Owensboro. I live on Duke Drive. I'd like to thank the city commissioners and the mayor for finally, it's been a long time coming, but I'd like to thank you personally for bringing up medical marijuana. It's not going away. It's still a struggle. I'm not part of the generation that vape or salve or do whatever. My generation smokes my medicine. And we're still alive, and we're still voting, and we're still fighting. And the only reason that we have medical marijuana today in Kentucky is because of sick people, disabled people, poor people going to Frankfurt on their disability checks. The people have done it. I asked, keep us in mind. Morale goes a long way. We had a terrible anniversary Monday. June 17th was 53 years. I was 15 years old when the government declared war on drugs, on the citizens. I was 15. I turned 68 this year. Think about that. 53 years of war being waged in the United States of America on the people. I know a lot of people think marijuana is a joke, but when you see when you see your brother and sister dying from pills and alcohol, and then you see the ones living off marijuana, then you know it's not a joke. And I know I've rubbed a lot of people the wrong way with my attitude about it, but I'd sincerely please ask for your help, not for me, but for the children that suffer. We have poor children in this county that suffer from horrible epilepsy. Please keep them in their mind and do your best. Just do what's right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sosh.